In the previous unit we looked at 2D navigation tools. In this unit we're going to concentrate on the navigation tools for 3D views. So if you remember from our project browser, we have our group names listed here, and down in that list you will find a group named 3D views with a number of 3D views in there depending on how many you've created. The default 3D view created by Revit is always just called 3D with the curly brackets around it. So I'm going to use that as my example here. So you can see that's in bold, showing us that it's the active view. So I've got a relatively simple model here, single-story building with a roof on. Going to start by mentioning the home icon. If we hover our cursor up near the view cube, and we'll look at that later on in this unit, when I get near to the view cube, you'll actually see a little house or home icon appears. It's not there when I move away from it. So I move my cursor back. What that icon does is restore your current view, i.e. this view, back to its default orientation. So let me give you an example of that. If I orbit the model, put the steering wheel away, if we go back and bring up that home icon, if I click on it, it will always reset this view to the default orientation for the 3D model. So it's a useful little tip if you've been orbiting or panning your view around, and as can sometimes happen with a large model, you can sort of get disorientated as to where you're looking at. Just remember, you can always reset the view with that home icon. Next we'll look at the view cube. If you look at the top right hand corner of my current 3D window, we'll see this little cube icon here. This is what is called the view cube, and really you can think of it as hyperlinks to preset orientations for this view. So if I orbit the model around, you can see that the view cube moves accordingly. However, I can interact directly with the view cube just by clicking on it, and I'll just slowly move my cursor around to show you the different parts that you can actually link to. So if, for example, we want this 3D view to orientate to the top as if almost like a plan view looking down on it, I can just click on where it says top on the view cube, and the 3D model reorientates itself accordingly. Remember that home icon we looked at resets it back. I can go to the front for elevations, and I can click on parts of the view cube and hold my mouse button and actually use that to orbit the model. Not as efficient or easy as just using the orbit command, but you can do that. And you can see there's some other preset positions there and corners. And we'll just reset that back to the default position. So that's the view cube. In the last unit we saw how there was a steering wheel for 2D navigation. It's exactly the same in the 3D navigation, i.e. we have a steering wheel. So if we click the steering wheel icon in the navigation bar, out comes our 3D steering wheel. So a little more complex than the 2D one, some more options on here. So for the rest of the unit I will take you through how these work, these various tools. Just before I do so, just point out we've got the little X. Remember, that puts the steering wheel away. So let's bring it back out again. And we've got a little drop down menu we can activate there, which gives us a range of options. In fact, more options than we had for the 2D steering wheels. So we've got different size of wheels containing different options. I tend to leave it on the full navigation wheel, which gives you everything you might possibly need. Let's just put that away for now. Remember, when you activate the steering wheel, it comes out and it will follow your cursor around. You can't get rid of it, you can't shake it off, and all you need to do then is move your cursor over the wheel to access the particular command you're interested in, and then the X to put it away. The beauty of building up a model in 3D is that you can view it from various angles to fully understand your design. In order to do so, you're going to need to orbit your model. For that, we can use the steering wheel. So let's bring out the 3D steering wheel again. Click on the steering wheel icon, and you can see there we have a tool called Orbit. I click and hold with my mouse button, and now as I move my mouse carefully round, I can orbit the model and look at it from various angles. If the model, when you orbit it, doesn't rotate as expected, it's a good idea to recenter that position, the center of rotation or orbit, and you can use that center tool there. So to use that, think of the steering wheel itself as having a crosshair where you want that center of rotation to be. So put it roughly in the middle of the model, hit the center tool, and you can see the center of rotation, and now your model will orbit around that point. A really nice feature is the ability to look around your model once you've created it. This is great for communicating your design to other design team members or to your client. So if you set up a 3D view and then bring out the steering wheel, on there we have a command called look. If I click and hold my left mouse button and keep my mouse button held down, as I move my mouse around, I can actually stand on the spot but look around the design. Really quite nice, say, to better understand or communicate your design to someone else. Just be careful with your mouse movements because it is quite a sensitive tool, so you only need small movements of the mouse to be able to look around your view. We've just seen how we can stand in our design and look around. In Revit we can take that one step further and we can actually walk around our design. So again, bring out our 3D steering wheel, and you can see in the center we have a command called walk, and click and hold with your left mouse button, and if I move my mouse up, I start to walk forward, and move it to the left, I can turn, and if I move my mouse down, I can walk backwards. So that walk tool combined with the look tool we just looked at means you can literally walk around your design and then take in all the detail. We saw earlier in the unit how we can use the steering wheel to orbit our design. Just put that steering wheel away. A much quicker way to orbit our model, again, is the use of the mouse by itself. Remember, if you hold down the scroll wheel, you get the pan command. However, if while you're holding down the mouse wheel, you also hold down your shift key on the keyboard, you can see there the cursor changes, and now I can orbit the model. So a really quick way of orbiting around your design without having to activate the steering wheel to get to that orbit command. And finally, to conclude this unit, we'll look at orbiting around a specific element. So we've already seen how we can use the orbit to orbit around a pivot point. We looked at the use of that center tool to reset where that pivot point is. But what if we want to orbit around a specific item? So let's say, for example, we're interested in these external doors and we want to look at them in detail. If I select the doors and now orbit the model, and I'm going to use the scroll wheel and the shift key, notice how the model now uses the selected element as its center of rotation. So really useful, particularly on a large model. Again, might be interested in the windows. Select the element you're interested in, hold your shift key down, hold your scroll wheel down and move the mouse, and now you can look at that item in detail. And that completes this unit. To get the most out of this training material, please take the complete course online at bimscape.com. Here you will find a complete learning management system that allows you to work through the course at your own pace. Comprehensive written tutorials provide additional information to that found in the training videos. Mark each unit as complete as you finish it and move on to the next. At any point you can return to any of the units you have previously completed to go over the material again. If you'd like to take this course online, please visit www.bimscape.com/Revit for details.